Ukraine has destroyed a huge Russian ship just days after state media filmed it unloading reinforcements at a captured port, as Putin's army continues to suffer punishing losses at the hands of Kyiv's men. The Ukrainian Navy said early Thursday that it had scored a direct hit on the Orsk, a 370-foot Russian Alligator-class tank carrier, as it was sitting at anchor in the captured port of Berdyansk, in the south of Ukraine. Multiple photos and videos showed thick black smoke rising from the port as one ship sat at the harbor in flames, while another two sailed away, one of which also appeared to be damaged. Just 3 days before the strike, Russian state media had filmed the Orsk at the port unloading armored vehicles which it said would reinforce troops in nearby Mariupol, prompting speculation that Ukraine could use the video to target the vessel. H.I. Sutton, a respected naval analyst, later said it is beyond reasonable doubt that an Alligator-class ship had exploded at the port. It marks the largest ship that Ukrainian forces have managed to strike so far and represents another embarrassing loss for Vladimir Putin's beleaguered army. It comes after NATO said Russia has lost up to 40,000 men either killed, wounded, or captured in just over a month of fighting, or a quarter of the 150,000 troops assembled ahead of the invasion. It means the force that remains is at risk of becoming combat ineffective, making it vulnerable to Ukrainian counterattacks. Counterattacks appeared to be well underway on Wednesday, with Ukraine claiming to have recaptured territory to the west of Kyiv, leaving Russian forces at Bucha, Irpin, and Hostomel at risk of being surrounded. Should those men get cut off from the rest of the Russian army, leaving them without food, ammunition and fuel, it could spark mass surrender and deal one of the most crushing defeats of the war to date. After days of conflicting reports about the situation near Kyiv, Britain's Ministry of Defense said late Tuesday, Ukrainian forces are carrying out successful counterattacks against Russian positions in towns on the outskirts of the capital and have probably retaken Makarov and Moshin to the west and northwest. There is a realistic possibility that Ukrainian forces are now able to encircle Russian units in Bucha and Irpin. A further update on Thursday morning added that Russian forces have almost certainly suffered thousands of casualties and that Vladimir Putin is looking to reinforce using private military companies, such as the Wagner Group, and foreign mercenaries, likely from Syria. But, it added, it is unclear how these forces would be integrated into the regular Russian army and how effective they would prove to be in combat. As Putin's invasion continues to falter, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called on people worldwide to gather in public Thursday to show support for his embattled country as he prepared to address US President Joe Biden and other NATO leaders gathered in Brussels on the one-month anniversary of the Russian invasion. Come to your squares, your streets. Make yourselves visible and heard, Zelensky said in English during an emotional video address late Wednesday that was recorded in the dark near the presidential offices in Kyiv. Say that people matter. Freedom matters. Peace matters. Ukraine matters. When Russia unleashed its invasion February 24 in Europe's biggest offensive since World War II, a swift toppling of Ukraine's government seemed likely. But a month into the fighting, Moscow is bogged down in a grinding military campaign of attrition after meeting fierce Ukrainian resistance. Ukraine's Navy reported Thursday that it had sunk the Russian ship Orsk in the Sea of Azov near the port city of Berdyansk. It released photos and video of fire and thick smoke coming from the port area. Russia did not immediately comment on the claim. Russia has been in possession of the port since February 27, and the Orsk had debarked armored vehicles there on Monday for use in Moscow's offensive, the Zvezda TV channel of the Russian Defense Ministry said earlier this week. According to the report, the Orsk was the first Russian warship to enter Berdyansk, which is about 80 kilometers, 50 miles, west along the coast from the besieged city of Mariupol. To keep up the pressure on Russia, Zelensky said he would ask in a video conference with NATO members that the alliance provide effective and unrestricted support to Ukraine, including any weapons the country needs. Biden was expected to discuss new sanctions and how to coordinate such measures, along with more military aid for Ukraine, with NATO members, and then talk with leaders of the G7 industrialized nations and the European Council in a series of meetings on Thursday.
NATO announced the dispatch of air defense systems and drones to Ukraine. The NATO Secretary General officially announced the transfer of air defense systems to Ukraine. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg issued a statement in which he noted that the alliance had decided to provide Kyiv with new weapons. Moreover, as before, we are talking about anti-tank systems, but now unmanned aerial vehicles and air defense systems have been added to them. Today, alliance leaders also agreed to provide further support to Ukraine to help protect their fundamental right to self-defense. Allies are also providing Ukraine with significant military supplies, including anti-tank and anti-aircraft systems, as well as drones, which are proving to be highly effective. In addition, significant financial and humanitarian assistance is being provided, said Stoltenberg. It is noteworthy that a few days ago, the deployment of Patriot systems was completed on the territory of Slovakia. They were replaced by S-300 complexes, which the Slovak authorities promised to immediately transfer to Ukraine. In this regard, there are very serious concerns that quite long-range S-300 air defense systems may be transferred to Ukraine. Experts regard NATO's actions as a direct intervention in the situation, which could force Russia to stop the transfer of Western weapons to Ukraine.
Over the past day, Ukrainian soldiers repulsed 5 attacks by Russian fascist troops and destroyed enemy equipment. The Operational Tactical Grouping's press service posted this on Telegram. Ukrainian soldiers repulsed 5 attacks by Russian fascist troops. As a result of battles, the following was destroyed: up to 130 personnel, 9 tanks, 1 armored personnel carrier, 6 infantry fighting vehicles, 5 self-propelled howitzers and artillery guns, 8 grenade launchers, and 1 UR-77 Soviet self-propelled jet installation. Another batch of Russian fascist evil is already burning in hell. You will not be forgiven, and all crimes will be punished, the statement said. The Air Defense Forces shot down an enemy cruise missile over Mykolaiv today.
While the Russian occupation, which entered its first month in Ukraine, continued with all its harshness, the failure of the Russian ground operation carried the invasion to a dimension far beyond the expectations. After the first major raid on the capital, Kiev, by the Russian army, the Ukrainian armed forces faced a harsh response. Afterwards, the Russian army decided to move forward in a more planned manner. However, the fact that many city centers did not fall and the kilometer-long armored convoy descending from the Chernihiv region towards Kiev was stopped by the Ukrainian armed forces, which delayed the siege of Kiev even more. Russian troops stationed in Brovary and Irpin, located in the northeast and northwest of Kiev, continue to strive to reach Kiev by clashing with the Ukrainian armed forces. However, a news that fell like a bomb on the agenda today revealed the attack of Ukraine against the Russian army in the region. The Russian army, which was trying to besiege Kiev from the direction of Irpin and deployed between Bucha and Druzhina, was surrounded by the attack of the Ukrainian armed forces from the Irpin and Makariv regions. If we have to divide the map of Ukraine in two, the western part of Kiev is still completely in Ukraine's hands and the Ukrainian armed forces has not taken any blows in these areas. The Russian army is expected to withdraw after the siege. It is expected that Russian troops will again withdraw to the Belarusian border and prepare for a new offensive with support from Belarus. However, if the withdrawal does not take place, as President Zelensky stated, the area between Irpin and Makariv may become a graveyard for the Russian army.
While the pressure of the Russian army in the west of Ukraine continues, its losses continue to increase in the Donbas region, which it thinks is safe. With the security barrier that the Donbas pulled to the entrance of Ukraine, the Ukrainian armed forces began to attack Luhansk and Donetsk. Situations are changing in the region during the occupation, whose first month we left behind. The Ukrainian armed forces, after a resistance that harassed the Russian army, gradually began to take the offensive position. Today, it was announced that the Ukrainian army destroyed the Russian ammunition depot in the Luhansk region. The news fell like a bombshell. The fact that the Russian army is not safe even in Donbas will cause Russia to enter into a bigger black thought. The 24th Separate Mechanized Brigade, named after King Danilo, destroyed a warehouse with ammunition and fuel of the Russian enemy in the Luhansk region. The brigade's press service posted a video of the demolition on Facebook. In this video, you can see the moment of hitting an enemy tank with ammunition and fuel in the Luhansk region, the statement said. An enemy tank and a fuel tanker were also destroyed in the attack. At the same time, NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg's statement came hours before President Biden landed in Europe for an extraordinary strategy meeting with the alliance formed in 1949 to contain the Soviet Union. The alerts highlighted the urgency of efforts to prevent the conflict from spreading beyond Ukraine's borders and NATO's direct war with Russia.
missing you. Don't you know my name? Well, you've been so long, and I've been put